I am back. First of all, thank you guys for watching my channel. Alfred Montaner here. The dinghy restoration. Oh my goodness, so much has happened over here. I was actually in Cannes. I filmed the boat show, all that crazy stuff. Last thing you saw about this dinghy restoration, we actually did the fuel polishing with Fuel Injector USA. They left the tank with fuel, some chemicals. They came the following weekend while I was already over there. On the Monday, I was already in France and Europe, and they went ahead and re-cleaned the thing again. They didn't feel confident on how the tank cleaned out. They did a phenomenal job. But you know, I have this thing, like my dad always used to tell me, hey guys, you guys have to have lawyers watching lawyers, and it's always good to get a second opinion. I deal with a Capitan. I have my hats in the Capitan. I asked around, and Capitan says, hey, listen, I got a buddy of mine that does this, and let's get a second opinion. We'll throw another camera in there, give it a thing. I've never seen this Nautica Widebody fuel tank ever fail. So it's not failing, it's not leaking or anything like that, but there is still some sludge or dirt in there. So we're gonna see that. I got a company here that's gonna give us a second opinion. And I encourage you guys, it's okay to get second opinion. I want you to think about that. That's not a bad thing. In the end, you're trying to do the best what you can for your boat. And okay, so this is the company. So they're gonna basically do the same thing. They can do exactly the same thing. And we're gonna talk to him, and he's gonna see what's in there and what's not in there. And his name is Chris, and here's the dinghy. So, what's going on, Chris? I'm telling him the whole scenario more or less, so they know what we're doing, right? Like I told them that we already had this clean. You're coming back. Hey, pa! Look who's there, guys. That's Gustavo from Alamar. Okay, so you do this every day.
Correct.
Every single day you go clean tanks, disgusting water. What are some of the issues that you deal with as well?
Anything that could compromise the fuel tank.
Yeah.
From a fuel line to the sender itself, the screws, your fill cap. A lot of things are overlooked.
Yeah.
On a daily basis. You know, we live in South Florida. We don't live up north. We're exposed to different heat. We're exposed to different humidity.
Yeah.
So it's so much like, and again, all I do is fuel. So like, I love talking about it because I love what I do.
Yeah.
And it's something that, you know, obviously just us talking, you know, we knew that it was going to be an extended conversation, but it's just so many factors play into keeping the fuel clean. Then you got to worry about the fuel itself.
Yeah. Which could be a shit show, because
exactly.
If it's not wreck fuel and it's a boat,
then you get the alcohol after some time. It's gonna separate, right? You go to phase separation. Then you got to think about the heat that we have here. I'm going back to it. Is phase separation happens a lot quicker in South Florida than it happens everywhere else.
Yeah.
So where, you know, you read a book and it tells you, oh, it'll happen in 8 to 10 months. Down here, it's happening in 3 to 4 months because it's just sitting in there cooking.
So okay, so you have an idea. This was kind of like a little bit midway from the top. It wasn't full. It had a lot of sludge. It had some of that gunk or the debris. I guess it accumulates with water. It was just nasty. So they pumped all that out. We put some chemicals. We let it sit over the weekend. Moved the boat around. Did all that good stuff, and then they came back and they sucked it all out. And this is where we're at now. So I want to see what you see and what you think. My biggest concern, obviously, we got this brand new Suzuki from Reliable, right? We would hate to, we can run it off an external tank, which the customer is not going to be happy about that. We don't want to go that route. Because obviously, you know, you want to take advantage of the tank that the boat gets, which I told them in the beginning that could be an issue, and now we're at this point. I want to know your professional opinion, even if it's not what I want to hear. I want you to tell me the truth. So, okay, do you have a camera set up in there right now? What do you have going on?
I'm getting set up a bore scope.
Okay.
Because just a topside picture doesn't always tell us the full story.
Okay.
So I'm setting up a bore scope so I can get in there. Every tank, or mostly every tank, has baffles.
Yeah.
Which are, you know, to prevent the waves from crashing and bursting the tank. So in this situation, with the bore scope, I can kind of snake my way in between one baffle and the other to get a visual.
Yeah.
And then that kind of gives us a picture of the degree or the severity of the issue, and it helps us determine like where we're at, what needs to be done to move forward.
Okay, so we have some plan B's and C's. People welding world not far from here they were thinking about, maybe we had already discussed maybe just making a new tank here up top so we don't have to cut the bottom. The problem is, since the tank is under the actual deck, it's a problem. That's a big job, you know, and we're trying to avoid that. So, all right, guys, well, we're gonna go ahead and let Chris do his thing. Once we get some footage here, we'll get his professional opinion. And all right, let's see how this is. And you'll be able to get up top to the top, to sidewalls, everything pretty much with that camera.
Correct. The whole point of the bore scope is really to be able to not just see what's immediately down there, but get a visual. Because sometimes the issue is not just on the bottom of the tank, it's up on the top of the tank,
Yeah.
which is the internal ceiling.
Yeah.
That right there, that picture shows us if there's been a humidity issue,
Yeah.
the inside of the tank looks like, you know, remember old school popcorn ceiling?
Yeah, yeah.
The inside will look like
Yeah.
popcorn. Dry it up, water drop.
Okay.
And then how did that water get in there? That's where we start evaluating what's going on.
Okay.
Right?
If you see anything interesting that we can film off of your phone, you let me know. All right,
When
guys.
you open up a tank, everything's interesting. Right? This is what tells you, you know, basically what's been done. You want to come around this side? Alfred?
Yeah. Let's go see, guys, what's going on over here. Actually, I want them to see all of this. Okay.
So, you see that pipe that's there to the right?
Yeah.
That's the pickup tube.
All right.
All right, that's what's gonna suck up the fuel internally, right? You see basically it's cut off with a shank. That's
Yeah.
just, you know, angling as far as prevent stuff from getting stuck in there as well. Sometimes those have an internal filter. And then if you look at the bottom, what looks like, you know, a mud pit,
Yeah.
that's just old fuel that has converted itself to varnish. And, you know, it's basically a nightmare, right, for your fuel system. If you look at here, the picture up top, that's the roof of the tank.
So the roof of the tank looks good.
And you see up there, for whatever reason, that may have been just splashing that the varnish got up there. But yeah, if we look at the roof of the tank, it's not, you know, for the age,
yeah,
it's not horrible.
That's good. That looks really good.
You know, here's the concern.
Okay.
Right.
So the issue's in the backside, which is usually where the issue is going to be, right?
Correct. Everything, if you look at the way the boat sits on the trailer, it's going to lean towards the back, right? Towards the rear. If it sits in the water, that's where the weight is for the engine. It's going to lean. So usually when you open up a tank, you see the back end, it's going to be
But the sides look great and the top looks great. So, okay, so that gives me a lot more confidence.
And then this is, since it's a smaller tank, I don't see or I don't believe there's going to be any baffles in here that's going to give us, you know, an issue.
Okay.
But having the bore scope, obviously, it's going to give us a better picture. You see that half pipe or that's the fill.
Yeah.
Where when you add fuel, that's where it's going to go into.
Yeah.
But this down here is, you know, the old fuel. This is what old fuel looks like.
Okay, how would you tell if there's pitting or things that make it that the actual lack of use has created damage to the actual aluminum? How can we see that, and how would you know if it's a huge problem or not a problem?
Well, usually, you know, we would get most of this out.
Yeah.
And then we'd be able to look for cavities in the aluminum, right? Where you see the pitting, where you see the holes. It looks like little volcanoes that have erupted, miniature pimples per se, and that's where, you know, basically is your corrosion. And obviously that's a layer of aluminum that has been shaved off, so that's a layer that's less in the tank. That's going to be an issue. Okay, right?
But realistically, here's what I want to find out. Because people are going to have this same question in this same scenario.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, is it worth it, or do I just go ahead and do a big job, ruin the floor, change the tank? What's like a huge red flag for you immediately? Like I still see you with the camera in there, so I feel a lot better than before. Because you're still looking and you're looking for stuff. Look, let's show that. Okay, so that's...
None of this scares me.
None of this right here.
This right here, none of it scares me because I've been there, you know, I've cleaned it out. Now, keep in mind, when we clean it out,
okay,
it's not going to be shiny and polished like your prop, right? It's not gonna get to that point.
Okay.
It's just majority, if not 95, 99% of that guck is out.
Okay.
And the aluminum is already stained. So that stain where you see it,
Wait, let me show that.
as far as cloudy,
Yeah.
that's not gonna get shiny. Nobody's going in there with a polisher to make it shiny.
No, we don't
compared
want
to a brand new tank, right?
Listen, we don't want it to be shiny and we want the gun to be out so it doesn't go back into the engine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what our main concern is for any of that stuff to get into our brand new Suzuki, because the last thing. Now, okay, so most of this stuff after it's cleaned out, right? It'll eventually go on to your filters, right?
Correct.
And then, like, just a hypothetical, have you seen any like really bad pitting or anything that it might make the actual tank fail?
Well, right now, based on the visual that I have, in the situation where, we're looking at the let's say sludge or the guck that's at the bottom of the tank.
Yeah.
That obviously blocks, the visual. So
Okay.
I won't be able to see
Until
how
that's
the bottom is until that majority of that is taken out. Because it's gonna end up looking somewhat like what we see here. You see the popcorn that I was kind of telling you about, roof-wise on the ceiling?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we're at, right?
Yeah, but once you fill the tank up with fuel completely to the top, that starts moving around and that goes away, right?
If it's loose, but
Yeah.
but because it's dried up, it'll be locked in place. Now, guess what? You have it on a trailer, right? You're gonna trailer it.
Yeah,
You're gonna
move
hit
it.
bumps.
Yeah.
It's gonna start breaking off. Then you're gonna put it in the water,
And you're gonna hit waves.
As soon as you hit a wave or two, it's gonna flake off. And who's gonna suck it up? Your pickup tube. And where's that gonna go? It's gonna clog up if you have an anti-siphoning valve, it's gonna clog up your filter. You're gonna lose power. You're gonna be at 3,500 RPMs, and it's gonna drop to 1,800, 1,500. Maybe you might get away with idling, but that leads to even more issues because now you got all that debris going through your line. When it's miniature, it's gonna. You do have a secondary filter on the motor, but that's gonna pass through that, and it's gonna clog up your injectors. Next thing you know, you have
a shit show.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So in this case, this would essentially be. Let's just say the clients are not the happiest right now with the fact that the way of the direction, and that's why I wanted to get multiple opinions, and Andres, big shout out to Andres from my Capitan who actually recommended Chris, and he's taking pictures and video of this, and I can eventually send that to, but from what I see.
And even still now, like I can get down into here, and rub, and we're gonna pick some of this up with the camera, and to the point that it's gonna block.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty decent sized tank. How many gallons is it?
I think it's maybe even up to 20 to 30 gallon tank.
You see the multiple layers. This is one baffle. Here's another baffle.
Yeah.
Right, and then the front of the tank is over there. So that's what, again, helps the fuel pass through. And
what about corrosion, Chris? When there's corrosion, and give me your professional opinion, how worried you are if you see some type of, it's already worn down, that bottom layer. Does it concern you? I mean, from what you see right there, I feel a lot better after seeing it with this camera, to be honest with you.
Yeah. What concerns me about corrosion is that we can't measure the depth of what's left, right? So basically the thickness.
The thickness of the actual...
Of the aluminum, knowing that maybe there's a layer or two that have flaked off, just like, steel would rust.
Yeah.
And I've been in situations where, a simple client hasn't had an issue, has preventative maintenance. Hey, can we polish my fuel?
Yeah.
I had a little debris in my filter. I open up the tank. As you notice, I use plastic wands to prevent any additional scarring into the tank or anything like that could cause any cavity that you create. Fuel contaminants, where it's going to sit in there. So what happens is, I sweeped the tank with the wand, and all of a sudden, I'm starting to smell fuel. And guess what? That flake broke off, and now the bilge is full of fuel.
Yeah.
So we were
and
able
that's
to,
the telltale, right? That
Correct.
when you have fuel in your bilge, you have a leaking fuel tank. And I always stress that if you smell fuel in your bilge, don't go out.
Correct.
Your boat's going to be on fire.
Your bilge pump does not know the difference between water and fuel. It's going to start pumping. You don't know the cables, how they're connected. If there's anything faulty in there, there's going to be a
Spark,
bigger issue.
and that's it.
Than you want it to be. And you're out, usually when we're out on the boat, we're having fun, family, friends. We don't want an additional issue. You don't want to come out on the news, right?
Yeah.
So these are things, again, like you said, a telltale sign. Don't do it. Hoses, your filters. I've seen filter housings corrode, and that's where it's leaking the fuel. Client's been in a panic because they think it's their tank, and really it's the housing where it holds the fuel, where it holds the fuel filter, and that's what's corroded and causing an issue. It's just a matter of maintenance, upkeep. If you guys have an older boat and you have hatches, something I tell all my clients, you can call any of them, open up the hatches, let it breathe. You don't want the water and the humidity to stay in there because all that mold is just going to eat away at your boat, at your tank. So open up your hatches, let it breathe, let the sun do its thing. Eventually, you're going to dry out your hull.
Yeah.
You're going to dry out the foam, and you're going to extend your tank's life. You're going to
And leave it full if possible, right? With fuel.
That's the key.
That's
I get a lot
most
of clients
important.
asking me. Everybody's told differently, but think about it, right? The space being filled with fuel is going to allow less space for air to be in there. Air turns into, especially the air that we have here. It's
with
condensation,
humidity. Yeah.
Humidity, and that's where you get those droplets up top on the ceiling.
Yeah.
So the whole point is keep it full. I know it costs a lot at the first time you fill it, but after that, top it off before you park it, and you're giving your tank more life. You're giving your fuel more life. You're giving your pocket more life. It's so beneficial. I'll be here all day talking about it.
Well, listen, one of the things that I always tell the customers, right? Like, and the reason I like this particular model, not just because it's a unbelievably riding boat. It rides incredible, but I've never had any fuel tank issues. If it were Novarania and it was the same year, I'd probably won't even hire anybody or risk just spending money at all, right? In the end, what I want is the best for my customer.
Correct.
And I want them to take advantage of this tank and the boat. And I don't want them to harm this brand new engine, which literally, we haven't even started it yet,
Well, that was your initial, conversation with me. You want to continue to dive deep in here to figure out, to give them the best answer possible.
Yeah, I want them. I want them to feel confident about my decision, and
Exactly.
and in the end, I did not think it was as bad. And I'm sure you've seen it all. You know what I'm saying? Like you've seen probably sludge and all that crazy stuff. But what I want in the end is for you to tell me if there's anything else that you think you can do to make this situation much better, that we can run this boat on that brand new Suzuki. And I don't expect it to be 100%, and I do expect to tell the customer, change your filters out prematurely, because I'm assuming that's what you would want to do, right?
Exactly. So once we do this type of work that we, again, you guys saw the pictures, you see the inside of the tank. It's based on the axis, all we have is the sender. It's impossible to get 100% of everything out. Now, knowing that and being completely honest, I'm going to get 95, 98, don't quote me exactly on the percentage, but we're going to get somewhere around there, right? Where you're going to be able to use the boat safely and not have a concern. Because guess what? You do have filters. They're going to handle business. Now, don't use it for 100 hours and then
not change it, right?
Exactly. So it's being conscious. Buy a couple filters, and hey, I got 8 hours on it. Let's swap it out. Let's put a new filter in. I got another 8-10 hours on it. Let's swap it out. Usually by the second, third filter, you're good. But guess what? Filter, how much does it cost compared to cutting out the floor? Now, every scenario is different. This is
listen, this for us and the customer, I don't see a problem with them swapping it out, right? Like it's a very easy fix as opposed to cutting the floor, redoing the floor.
The intent to get it, you see now the camera, it's already covered with that. You see the visual, you're not really seeing much of a visual. It's because I picked at some of that varnish, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna pull it out,
We'll see what the camera shows.
and I didn't get a whole lot, but it's not gonna show much. So you see, there's a product of what it is, and it's
soft, right?
it's like sand. It's like a varnish type of rocky sand.
Yeah.
So in this scenario, again, Alfred, basically cleaning it is the initial step.
Okay.
And once we do that,
Drive it around, move it, slosh it.
correct. Once we do that, then we could determine when we really have a good visual of the tank.
Yeah.
Because here, if you notice, it's completely layered, right? So
Yeah.
we don't have much access. I can't get in there and scrape. And plus, scraping, you don't want to hurt the tank more, for whatever reason, more than whatever it is. So by cleaning and getting majority of that out, then we could make an educated guess and say, hey, you're good,
Okay.
or we're at a standstill.
What would your procedure be right now? Like seeing what we just saw, right? I call the customer, hey, I got a second opinion. This is what he would recommend. What would you do right now, seeing what you just saw, to get in there? Because there's limited space. Is there something that it could, like a brush that will get in there? How's that work? Or chemicals? What's the story?
It's basically what I call a chemical bath. Based on the size of the tank, I bring in chemicals and let the chemicals do the work.
Okay.
Obviously, with my client's partnership, I
Moving
can't
it around.
be there every day. So it's not about raising the bow and dropping the bow. It's about connecting it to your car, your truck, driving it around, pumping the brakes a couple times,
Getting
doing
it
everything
up and
safely,
down. Yeah.
but making sure that all that slushes around.
Yeah.
And it helps the process, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to help you by getting your boat water ready, and you got to help me to facilitate the
So
process,
I got to drive this thing around. Let's go.
You got to slam on the brakes, you got to step on it, whichever way, but that's the process to get us to the point where it's easier to pump it out, because at the end of the day, you've seen the access.
Yeah.
It's something like this. There's nothing else.
Guys, I mean,
the sender down there, the
there's
sender
it.
hole. That's
it.
an inch and a half wide, and it's that's what we got to work with.
Yeah.
So the whole goal is to get you water ready.
Yeah.
And the cheapest possible way. It is cheaper than cutting out the floor and rebuilding or putting a new tank in, but a lot of factors determine that, right? Like age, usage,
But those seams look good from what you just saw, right? All those seams, like those welds.
The welds look good. It's just a matter of, again, being able to give you more of a solid answer.
Yeah,
taking majority of that out so we could look at the bottom, because we take all that out and the bottom is full of cavities. It's just a matter of time before you hit a couple waves and that cracks.
Yeah.
And then you got fuel leaking, right? So
Okay.
if that's not the case, you probably have a few more years without an issue.
Okay. What do you think? If you had to say, hey, if this were your boat, what would you say? You're biased, I know.
And then it's like I don't know when to quit, and it's tough for me to say no or to not do something. Like, I will pull out every string possible to get the tank or the fuel where it needs to be.
Okay.
So for me, it's like I always, everything to me is a challenge and a project, and I want to get into it. It's just a matter of...
The sludge don't scare me more than the actual failure of the tank at some point. So if we're confident that the tank is not going to fail, slightly, if we can't get 5% of the sludge or the dirt out there with time and good gas, it's going to go away.
It's going to go away.
They just got to use it.
The filters
they got to use it. Yes,
it has to be used.
You got to use it, guys. You got to use your boat.
This will only happen to you
when you don't use your boat.
When you don't use your boat.
That's it.
That's it.
And if you want to prevent it, just fill it up as much as you can.
Exactly. That helps. And this is probably fuel that had ethanol in it.
Absolutely.
If you use fuel with ethanol and you burn through it periodically,
yeah,
you're fine. But if you're gonna let it sit for months or years at a time, you're just hurting your pocket, because it's gonna eat away your tank. This is what's gonna happen.
All right. Well, guys, we're gonna go ahead and call the customer, give them the news, and anything else you think that they need to know or we need to know. How would they get in contact with you if somebody wanted to get in contact with you?
Well, I'm available through obviously phone call, text message. That's Miami Fuel 305-417-3697.
Say it in Spanish.
Estoy disponible cuando quiera por mensaje, por correo electrónico, por llamada. Mi número es 305-417-3697. La compañía es Miami Fuel. Estoy basado aquí en Miami. I go to Marathon. Voy de maratón a Palm Beach.
Yeah.
So,
Listen,
range-wise.
in the end, I'm glad I got a second opinion, right? And I'll tell you, I when I first saw that video, listen, as a creator, I always want to show me being the hero and never fudging up. This was my shell. And what came out of that, when this other company, Fuel Injector USA, which is the people who did it, all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, that looks so bad on me. But I want them to not have this issue going forward. Even if they're not going to use their boat, hey, top it off. Leave it on the back of the thing and let it die. And then the day of tomorrow, you call a guy like, yeah, just take it all out. And then we're going to put brand new fuel. So, hey, well, listen, guys, I want to thank you guys for watching Alfred Montaner making a scene. It's always good, guys. It's good. I talked to Ruben. Ruben said we need another opinion because he saw how confident I was with how well these boats are made, and that's why I like selling these boats. That's why I like getting this haul, because they were boats that were made really, really good. All right. Now I had other options. I had Welding World that could have made a tank right here. We could have actually picked up the console and made a whole new tank, cut the floor. Obviously, huge expense, a lot of work. We want to avoid that. And now you got some other options. All right, Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alfred Montaner making a scene as always. And I don't know, call him up if you want a camera. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can put some of that footage in this video. I'm out of here. Alfred Montaner making a scene as always. I'm out of here.